All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
And good morning, all. It is our big show. It couldn't be bigger, if I can say that. Big show. Kim is back, everybody. There were questions.
Kim, how are you?
As to her health yesterday. Are you feeling better, Kim?
Yeah, but I'm telling you, this thing is like taking forever.
Listen to that.
Kim, how are you?
Oh my God, it's really brutal.
Wow.
I don't know what to suggest. But it is on the improve, is the point. You're getting better.
It is on the upswing, yes.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if we can do the violin music today. I think we might be out of the woods.
I just never want to hear you say that when we're in the middle of a big fundraise like we
My
are.
bad, I'm
we
sorry.
need to exploit your situation for.
All right.
Yeah. So, all right.
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
Hey, by the way, it is the Final Four in March Madness. This is where the going gets really tough. At the very top of the brackets, we'll talk about what's going on, and I'll update you on the voting yesterday. Today, John Rothmann joins. Following the Trump indictment, we'll talk about him, the politics of it. Big win in Wisconsin as well, in Chicago. And Cenk Uygur from TYT is here in the 11 o'clock hour. I mean, that is huge. Cenk will be here to talk about progressive politics and the Democrats as they reposition for both top-of-ticket races and across the country. I mentioned Wisconsin. It's a huge, huge race. We talked about it yesterday, and there is big news there that I think is so very good. Democrats and progressive leadership that will give women the right to make decisions over their own body, that will also begin to redefine Wisconsin, to undo the gerrymandering that has been strategized for so long by the GOP. It's the way the GOP has maintained power. Hey, look, I would have no problem with a viable party and the people actually having a voice. And that voice is expressed through legitimate voting. But once you gerrymander, the way we have talked chapter and verse about this gerrymandering in states across the nation, but once you do extreme gerrymandering, the sort that was planned in Wisconsin and has actually been executed in part in Wisconsin, you subvert the people's voice. It's that simple. So more on that. John Rothmann, I'm sure, will have stuff to do. I want to put my credibility glasses on.
Please.
Yes, because there's much to do that's unrelated. What is this? Oh, someone sent me something here? Okay, that's cool. I'll get to that. But I do want to update probably the event of the day. Yesterday, certainly the Trump indictment was the event of the day. But today, the event of the day is...
Now, I can't believe it! Mark's Madness!
You're damn straight. Notes from the commissioner's office. There's no Albert here today, so I will just tell you.
Albert, thank you.
The Final Four kicks off today. Both Why Are You Yelling and Good Day, Sir blew out their matchups yesterday. So those are the pair that will move on. Yelling beat Grady situation. Good Day, Sir beat That's Not Fake. So did everybody get it? Why Are You Yelling? Good Day, Sir and Good Day, Sir blew out their matchups. Yelling beat Grady and Good Day, Sir beat That's Not Fake. The 21 seed, this is again from the commissioner's office, these are Albert's notes. The 21 seed, seriously, what the F, on a Cinderella run, beat out Wild Idea.
Wow.
And My Bad, I'm Sorry.
Really?
On its way to the Final Four. That's right.
My bad, I'm sorry.
So you're beginning to see the power of Seriously, What the F.
Seriously, what the
And somebody first said it when we got that drop, that would be the winner. We will see. It is taking on that Cinderella run from the 21st seed. Some of the standards, some of the, shall we call them, traditional drops on the show. And so, seriously, what the F? The 21st seed in March Madness is going to go on its run in the Final Four, and the voting will begin now.
I can't believe it! Mark's Madness.
You'll vote for one or the other. Either you'll vote for...
Seriously, what the
Or you'll vote for...
Where are my weed smokers at?
Oh, yeah. It's a tough one, isn't it? Again, it's either...
Seriously, what the
Or it's...
Where are my weed smokers at?
It's seriously or the weed. You vote in the YouTube chat and in our community section of the YouTube channel till midnight tonight. Now, good luck on that. Should be a spirited round indeed. Where my weed smokers at? Versus seriously, what the F? Wow. Well, there's one piece of big news, and let's get right to it.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I'm talking, of course, about the fact that Rupert Murdoch is not going to be getting married.
Oh, no. You know, his now ex-fiance was from Petaluma.
Oh, I'm so sad. Those kids they could have, Rupert could have, he could have had a happy second half of his life with that lovely Anne Leslie Smith.
And yes.
The 92-year-old media mogul is saying that he and the 66-year-old Anne Leslie Smith of Petaluma, a former dental hygienist turned conservative radio host, had planned to marry this summer.
A COVID denier and all-around wacko. Just so you know.
My gosh. Oh, I didn't even know that. You know way more about her than do I.
You do not know what you are talking about.
I really do not. I had no idea. Less than a year after he'd finalized his divorce from fourth wife, Jerry Hall, he hooked up with this Anne Leslie Smith. According to one source close to the romance, Murdoch had become uncomfortable with Smith's outspoken evangelical views. So it wasn't maybe even the COVID denying Kim. It was the evangelical part of her personality.
It was the holy roller thing?
Yeah, apparently.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just saying this is the word from inside.
This is a word from the Lord, and he's not happy.
I guess
Isn't it like Passover week or something? Sorry.
Oh, that's right.
My
we can
bad
ask John
if I
Rothman.
offended you.
Yeah. Rothman, we can ask him about the Passover plans.
Yeah.
But that's the latest on that. So,
The Mark Thompson Show.
ladies, Rupert is back out there and available.
Hey.
Yeah. We're a completely crowd-funded show. I will tell you that you can be part of the crowd, and if you have the funds, it helps keep us on the air. Quite seriously, we'll recognize some of the new Patreon subscribers. You can reach us through our website, themarkthompsonshow.com, and there you'll see a link to Patreon and PayPal. Either one works, and I'll tell you that some of you have been really cool in PayPal, and we'll recognize many of you as well as the days proceed. But remember, at the end of every show, we scroll everyone's name who's part of it, and we try to keep up. I know some of the, literally if you make a donation today, Tony will try to get that done in time for tomorrow's show, etc. But we definitely do it once a week, and Tony keeps that updated. So you should see your name up there, and it's a way that we recognize every day the difference you're making. And there you see Gail. Thanks, Gail. Gail's a regular viewer to the show and a regular contributor. Gail Marge for 20. Big shout out for that. Yeah, thank you for that. And James Buchanan, thanks for the super sticker for $5. Get well, Kim.
Right.
Says Michael Adams for $10. And Walter for another 10 for the payroll. Aloha, baby. What up, Walter?
Awesome.
In Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to put aside, and you can tell a little bit by the way we've started, a lot of the Trump stuff until John Rothman comes along and until Cenk comes along. So I'm because I just don't want to neglect literally everything, as we kind of did yesterday, because we were doing this, wait and see on Trump's arrival to the courthouse. I want to make sure that we address, just on some level, the totality of what's going on beyond Donald Trump. But definitely there was there was a lot there, and then there was not a lot there in yesterday's indictment. So the Bragg hush money case, which runs up against a statute of limitations that normally would have made the case, I think, it would have made the case so cold that he couldn't have brought it. But because of COVID, the statute of limitations is extended. That allowed Bragg to dust this case off. And I do mean dust this off because we were aware of it. Now, that doesn't mean that getting this case back out the way we are doesn't remind us of certain facts. And it reminds us of the doorman being bribed, in effect, being paid off with hush money. So you got hush money to the porn star, you've got hush money to the Playboy model, and you got hush money to the doorman.
30 grand to the doorman for a story that wasn't even true.
Right. But
didn't matter.
It was so potentially incendiary that they wanted to, snuff it out. Incendiary is a ding word.
I agree.
So you were reminded of all those things. The legal side of the case, I know you've probably read a lot about it. I've read a ton about it. And tomorrow David Katz joins. I was just sending him some stuff that I wanted to follow up on. And again, I'm going to put a little of that aside. I've talked to you about the legal side of this. I drew the lines that need to be drawn legally between these indictments and where there could be a conviction. And there is new legal soil being tilled here, and maybe Rothmann wants to touch on it. But what I'll just say for now is, of all the cases, and I've said this before, I'm not alone in saying it, of all the cases that Trump has to deal with, potentially, this is certainly not the one that rings the bell the loudest. You're dealing with Georgia, you're dealing with the documents case, with legitimate obstruction of justice, demonstrable obstruction of justice, maybe literally video associated with the obstruction of justice and the documents case as that gets hatched. And then, of course, J6. So all of those things, I think, loom in a much greater way than does this particular offering.
I was thinking, they said yesterday,
first to the party.
He doesn't have to be back in court until December regarding this case. And so I was thinking, well, I don't think we're going to not see him in court again until December. He's going to be in court in a multitude of states.
That's right. And multitude all ding. It's true that the Trump train is now going to be making stops, it would seem, in other courtrooms, Georgia among them. I think Kim is so very right about that. It's interesting. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, she is, look, I just thought she was, I'm just going to say it. I thought she was a despicable character for the pumping out of the lies and the cover up, and her father I have no taste for either. So I'm really not, I really find them both loathsome creatures. But that said, that in the interest of full disclosure, I'll tell you this. She won the governor's seat, right, as you'll remember, in Arkansas. So they've been devastated by these tornadoes. And I have more on the tornadoes in a second, which might be of interest to you. It's weird how the globe is changing so dramatically. And these tornadoes is a part of that change. She is, one of these hard right. She plays the culture wars hard. She plays the anti-government part of the game pretty hard. Doesn't want government in our lives, wants the government defunded in many ways, except for the military, etc. Wants people off of these various government programs that are designed to send checks out to support people who should be pulling themselves up by their own bootstraps and all that junk. I say junk because, it's just it's D5. You're just playing the same song over and over and over again. I think with a lack of substance behind it. Now, her state's been devastated by tornadoes. Who does she want money from? If you guessed the federal government, yes. In fact, the federal government already was stepping up with a lot. 75% of the costs of cleanup look to be covered by FEMA. But she doesn't want 75%. She wants 100%. She's asking FEMA to cover all of the cleanup costs from last Friday's series of tornadoes that killed nearly 36 people, caused extensive damage throughout Arkansas. I've been across our state since Friday, she says, surveying damage, meeting with survivors, and discussing recovery efforts with local leaders. It's clear that the cost to clean up the damage of these storms will be substantial. The federal government, you know, the evil federal government that you want no part of, that you feel no one should get any money from, the evil federal government, she notes, is currently covering 75% of all costs incurred during our recovery process. Again, that seems pretty strong number. What could possibly be the problem? That arrangement must go further, she said, to help Arkansans in need. Today, she says, I'm asking the federal government to cover 100% of all of our recovery expenses during the first 30 days after the storm.
But was she not the one who spoke out against the meddling hand of big government?
Exactly.
Yeah.
During her campaign, she said, Arkansas residents have the right to be free of socialism and tyranny. As long as I'm your governor, the meddling hand of big government creeping down from Washington, D.C. will be stopped cold at the Mississippi River.
Wow. Unless,
all of a
course,
sudden,
I want money.
Yeah, socialism doesn't seem so bad. Yeah, when you're looking for the handout to clean up after the tornadoes, it's a totally different deal. And now to the tornadoes. There she is. She rails and yells well, which is, as you know, kind of basic part of the grievance machine. Tornado Alley is shifting farther into the U.S. East. Climate scientists have studied this, and a spate of devastating tornadoes that have recently ripped through parts of the eastern and southern U.S. states could portend is a ding word, they say, the sort of damage that will become more commonplace due to changes wrought by global heating. These are the latest studies from climate scientists. I don't need to tell you, more than 50 people have died from the tornadoes and thunderstorms in the past 2 weeks. This is a brutal period of severe weather. The latest powerful storms, as I mentioned, in Alabama, Illinois, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Arkansas. One guy survived by hiding in his bathtub. I think Kim told a story about a guy who was hiding under his a door to a church, I think. Joe Biden has vowed to help those left homeless by the storms and expressed astonishment at the severity of the tornadoes that leveled much of these states. They've long posed a peril to this area in the central U.S. You're seeing some pictures of the devastation now, known as Tornado Alley. That's parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska. They're still studying the influence of climate change on these tornadoes. But some researchers are saying that there's evidence that this tornado alley is shifting eastward and that storms can become more powerful as the world heating continues. So it's something to watch. Research is still being done. I mean, there are all kinds of other attendant effects, right, of this global warming. These winter seasons have become more extreme, right? Both milder and more intense in certain places. Still, the factors driving tornadoes, they say, are complex, and the link to climate change is far less understood than it is for phenomenon as like heat waves. Scientists are able to pinpoint an exact global heating influence for heat waves, for example. Not so much for tornadoes. But that's an interesting little side fact to all of that. As I say, we're going to get to the bottom of the hour and we'll talk to John Rothmann. When we do, we'll really get into the Trump stuff if you're just joining us. That will wait for that time. I also wanted to mention that there is some Trump stuff in this next segment. So I'm not going to put all the Trump stuff aside, but I'm also going to include something more as we do Law and Disorder.
In the criminal justice system, the people,
pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care,
are represented by two separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law. You're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
I'm going to start away from the courtroom in which Trump showed up and dealt with his indictments, 34 of them, pleading not guilty. The Sinaloa cartel boss who worked with El Chapo has been extradited from Mexico to the U.S. He's allegedly, having worked with El Chapo on all of his various drug operations, he's 42-year-old Jorge Ivan Gastelum Avila. You can just call him Cholo Ivan. That was his nickname. Yeah, I don't think it relates.
What?
Yeah,
No
not
relation?
a relation to Jim Avila. No.
Oh.
No. That we know of. He's being charged with conspiracy to manufacture and distribute 5 kilograms of more of cocaine, as well as over 1,000 kilograms of marijuana. That's not called for. Please. Intending and knowing that those substances would be imported into the United States. Avila was also charged with knowingly, intentionally using, carrying, brandishing, and discharging a firearm. Well, he should fit right in the United States then.
Yeah.
Yeah. The United States of guns. Welcome. Yeah. Please hang on to your gun. Feel free to brandish. You're in the land of brandishment. Between 2009 and 2016, documents claim, so he was in business for quite some time. Avila served as a high-ranking member of the Sinaloa cartel, headed by El Chapo. And Avila, there he is, in the custody of U.S. authorities, now headed back to America to face the man. Also in Law and Disorder, Stormy Daniels, everyone. This is not related to yesterday's circus. Stormy Daniels is going to have to pay more to Trump's lawyers, according to the court.
This is wild.
The Ninth Circuit entered this order as Trump was arraigned in New York. It is wild, indeed. You know, there was a judgment against her. Oh, Albert, I can't open this now. Why is that, Albert?
Albert, thank you.
Anyway, the Ninth Circuit had made that ruling that she had to cover legal fees. And as those legal fees mount, she has to cover them as they mount.
So she's
You'll pardon
paid
the expression mount in that case.
She's paid $130,000 in so-called hush money. And then they turn around and they say, because of a defamation suit, you have to pay $500,000 for Trump's attorney's fees. And now yesterday, an additional $120,000. Mm. So I don't know where she's supposed to get all this money. The hush money was only $130,000.
Yeah, right. The hush money was, if she thinks she's going to come on here and try to get Patreon and PayPal contributions from my audience, no, I cannot allow it. We are, we're on the edge as it is. Cannot.
That's a lot of porno movies she's going to have to make.
Well,
I'm just saying.
I will say this for Stormy Daniels, and I'll say this for Karen McDougal. And I'll say this for anybody who has anything to do with the Trump case. This is your moment. This is where you write a book. This is where you make a deal. This is where you sell an interview. So I'd suggest those venues for potential moneymakers when it comes to Stormy Daniels' various revenue streams. But I must tell you, I'm with you, Kim. It's sort of like, wow, hey, she litigated this and it didn't work out.
She should have held out for much more hush money.
Her attorney was Avenatti, remember? And he turned out to be dirty also.
He stole a lot of money from her, right?
No, he stole a lot of money from her and way more from other clients. So, Donald Trump is calling for defunding all of law enforcement. Well, you got to go big or go home. Republicans in Congress should defund the DOJ and FBI until they come to their senses, he said. The Democrats have totally weaponized law enforcement in our country and are viciously, I should say, using this abuse of power to interfere with our already under siege elections. He really plays the grievance card hard. Of course, he pleaded not guilty to 34 felony counts of falsifying business records related to the scheme to pay off Stormy and McDougal and the doorman. The Justice Department is conducting 2 of the investigations that continue against Trump. One into Trump's efforts to overthrow the results of the 2020 election, and another into his handling of sensitive materials after he left the White House in 2021. So, special counsel Jack Smith and all the rest, they would be defunded and should be defunded in Trump's view. And finally, I think that's it for Law and Disorder. I have one other Bay Area note that's kind of troubling, but that's Law and Disorder for today.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on the Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
Kim's News and John Rothmann. But before I get to that, I wanted to mention this. Does everybody know the name Mike Colgan from KCBS Radio? No? Does it not mean anything to anybody? Oh, my God, really? Am I the only one? He's a retired reporter for KCBS Radio.
Yeah, I donated to that yesterday. Really, freak accident.
He had his freak accident outside his home. He was walking and fell, and I guess he had his hands in his pockets as he walked.
Right.
And as he fell, there was nothing to brace his fall, and he broke his neck. And he's suffered a spinal cord injury in the fall that really has left him, I guess, needing full-time care. It's a tragic story. He's 76 years old. He retired.
Like minute you're walking down the street, the next minute you're a quadriplegic.
Yeah, you're enjoying retirement, honestly. I mean, good for him. At 76, retired. He worked hard in radio, and now he's having to hope that a crowdfunding campaign can keep him alive, and getting the care he needs. Really sad news. But I saw it, and I don't know him personally, but I just know his work, and I feel bad. So thought I would quickly note that. John Rothmann with reaction to 2 things: the Trump situation, the politics of the Trump indictments, and also Wisconsin. And a couple of wins for progressives if you add Chicago into that as well. Smash the like button like a ball.
Smashed it with your iron rod.
Yeah, give me a thumbs up. Cost you nothing. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. Of course, former President Trump says federal law enforcement agencies should be defunded a day after he was arraigned in a Manhattan court. In a post on Truth Social today, Trump called on Republicans to defund the DOJ and the FBI until they, quote, come to their senses. This comes as top House Republicans are considering how to move forward with an investigation of the Manhattan DA who brought charges against the former president. As Mark was mentioning, more severe weather is set to impact parts of the central U.S. and Midwest today. Areas in the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, Mississippi Valley, and the South can expect damaging winds, hail, and tornadoes. This comes after a tornado left 4 dead early this morning in Missouri. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says NATO is stronger and larger than ever. He declared that from Brussels today following the addition of Finland to the Western Security Alliance. This country becomes the 31st member of NATO, an historic policy shift brought on by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Tuesday night, big for progressive Democrats in both Wisconsin and Chicago. In Wisconsin, a liberal defeated the Republican-backed candidate and won a seat on the state Supreme Court. In Chicago, a progressive candidate who made past statements supporting defunding police beat a moderate Democrat in the mayoral runoff. Cash App's founder, dead after being stabbed in San Francisco. Bob Lee, also the former chief technology officer of Square, was found by police at about 2:35 in the morning overnight. This comes after a report accused Cash App's parent company Block of allowing crime and fraud to run rampant on its app. California Governor Gavin Newsom tweeting from the road on his tour of red states. Governor Gavin Newsom spent yesterday in Montgomery, Alabama. It's a state he says is experiencing a massive rollback of freedoms. He tweeted that leaders in the GOP are trying to wipe away our history. Governor Newsom launching his Campaign for Democracy tour earlier this week. He intends to prop up Democrats and progressive causes in Republican-led states. The governor has yet to comment publicly on former President Trump's day in court. Matter of fact, I was just reading a story about how it seems Democrats are kind of distancing themselves from everything going on with the Trump.
They're
indictment.
making it less about Trump and more about policy, I guess. Yeah.
I guess back away slowly and let the courts handle it, right?
Right. Well, I mean, exactly. I think that's probably good. Also, when you, I think, and we'll talk to John about this, when you have the wave, if I can call it that, I mean, it's an oft-used expression and maybe not appropriately used all the time, but when you have this tremendous demonstration and flexing on the part of women, I would suggest, who feel, wow, we are really becoming second-class citizens in this country, or, you know, seconder-class citizens.
Yeah.
I think you may see a little bit of that play out in some of these elections. So I feel as though Democrats and progressives can be animated by that, and they don't have to play the Trump situation so much.
Lastly, a pair of former Oklahoma jail guards who forced inmates to listen to Baby Shark as punishment have been put on probation. You know, Baby Shark, do 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 do. Yeah.
Oh my God.
The judge also ordered them to pay a $200 fine. Gregory Butler Jr. and Christian Miles both pled guilty to a misdemeanor cruelty charge. An investigation found they forced inmates to stand for long periods of time and played children's music loudly on a loop. One victim said he had to listen to Baby Shark for 2 hours straight. That's a punishment. Don't want to do that. Be careful, Mark.
Yeah,
Baby Shark is coming for you. This show is crowdfunded. We thank those of you already here in the Mark Thompson Show community. You can find the Patreon and the PayPal link at themarkthompsonshow.com. And of course, the Super Chat here on YouTube is live. Thank you for supporting the show. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. Thompson Show. The Mark Thompson Show.
My wife wants some vegetables for coup day.
I was a basketball referee.
Feels great, baby.
Use Mark Thompson.
It's unbelievably offensive.
What he's got going here is a situation.
I was fortunate. Everyone I worked with made me better at my job.
You are a cover-up artist, and you are a liar.
Great to be with you on this Wednesday. Wednesdays bring this guy into our mix. You know him from KGO Radio for years. You know him from his continuing lecture series. He's very sought after. I think he's often showing up on other shows. I mean, I wish I could claim some sort of proprietary ownership of this dude, but I can't. I'm happy to share him. I'm happy to get the word out. The truth teller, the sexy beast that is John Rothmann, everybody. Hey, John Rothmann.
Well, good morning. Happy to be with you. And Kim, happy to be with you. Glad you're feeling better.
Hi.
You know, John, everybody wants to get your reaction to Trump, and I do want to get your reaction on that, but I want us to definitely save some time for what's happened in Wisconsin. It was I would say, monumentally consequential election. We talked about it yesterday.
I'd
love to speak to
start with that quickly.
Please do.
I was with Pat Thurston on KCBS, and this was several weeks ago, and she asked me for a thorough analysis of Wisconsin, which I gave her. The bottom line is that the Democrats won a stunning victory against a retired Supreme Court justice. The woman who won is, frankly, absolutely superb in terms of progressive issues. And the issue on the ballot really was the balance of power in Wisconsin over the Supreme Court and the question of a woman's right to choose. And the people of Wisconsin came down squarely in favor of a woman's right to choose. Now, what are the broader implications? The broader implications, which you touched on, Mark, and I think very effectively, and that is Wisconsin has been viewed as a swing state. I don't think it's a swing state. I think the Republicans are in deep trouble. They are in trouble there because women voters are responding to the fact that the Republicans are trying to restrict the right of a woman to choose. Please note, I chose my words very carefully. It is not the right to have an abortion. It is the right of a woman to choose what to do with her body. And that clearly resonated with Wisconsin voters. So my impression of what happened in Wisconsin, and I've worked in Wisconsin over the years in many primary campaigns, this is thrilling news, and the Democrats should be very happy, and the Republicans, frankly, should be very worried.
I wonder if you could speak to this, because one of the ways that the Republicans have maintained power and continue to maintain power in many states, but Wisconsin among them, is through gerrymandering. And I wonder if you could speak to the crest of that wave was breaking. And this actually is huge in that regard as well, because it will blunt that ability to gerrymander as intensely as the Republicans had planned.
You've said it all. That's it. The Republican plans they'd have to go to court, and they would lose because the Democrats now have majority on the Supreme Court. Now, immediately the question should be asked, well, if the Republicans had a majority, would that be fair? And the answer is the voters have now decided. And what the Republicans have done is to show that they are on the wrong side of history, not only when it comes to the right of a woman to choose, but also they are on the wrong side of history when it comes to real democracy. That is to say, the ability to vote honestly and fairly for who you want in the legislature.
And to Chicago, the more progressive candidate prevailed in Chicago as well. And when I say more progressive, you could talk about Brandon Johnson as it's very much connected to unions, for example. I mean, in other words, it seems that the progressive values are having a moment.
Well, also, you have to understand what Chicago is going through right now. It's a very difficult situation. It's virtually an ungovernable city. The crime rate has soared. And it doesn't have to do with whether you're a progressive or a conservative. And there was no conservative. The candidate who opposed the new mayor was a Democrat, a slightly more moderate, some said. But this is simply a question of Chicago trying to get its house in order. If you saw the headline of the San Francisco Chronicle about San Francisco's problems, which was talked about on another program, and I talked about it yesterday with Kim McAllister, on Nikki Maduro's program, there is no question that urban centers are under siege. And this is a serious problem for Chicago. What does it mean in terms of what kind of mayor this fellow will be? I have no idea. We'll have to find out.
All right. And now, so we've touched on Wisconsin. We touched on, and by the way, I'm just getting a lot of messages from people asking where the poll is for March Madness. It should be up now, and it also is in the community section. And I'll update it after our conversation with John Rothmann, but it should be up there now.
I am not taking any stand on the March Madness.
On March Madness. You know, it's very, we're into the Final Four, John. We parallel March Madness with Mark's Madness. And this, as you can imagine, has brought the drama to a crescendo.
I can see that, absolutely. All right.
Good news out of Wisconsin, says Rosie, but now the state legislature is talking about impeaching her. Heard that this morning. Can they do that? This is another sleight of hand move that Wisconsin has become very aggressive about undermining Democrats as they win various key seats.
The Republicans in Wisconsin have become very active. Anything is possible. The Republicans control the legislature. I have to be honest, I do not know the law there, whether it's simple majority or whether it's 2/3 or 3/4.
That's huge, by the way. Right. What John's saying is huge. If it's 2/3, it probably wouldn't happen. Right, John Rothmann?
Yeah. And so we have to wait and see. What's important is the people spoke. And if the Republicans reject what the people have done, they will pay an even greater price at the polls. And for a candidate for president to be elected, Wisconsin becomes a critical swing state. We saw that in the last few elections. So if I were the Republicans, I'd really think carefully before I take that kind of action.
And now, John, to Trump. The indictment, 34 counts because of the way they brought the counts, right? They essentially broke down the payments such that each one and each link in that chain became a separate count.
Telling a story. It's telling a story. And that's what the district attorney decided to do, to tell the story with, as you have pointed out, 34 counts against Donald Trump. I know that there are many who say, well, we haven't seen what the crime was. And I have to tell you, I think the district attorney is a very good poker player. He's going to hang back and present his case in court. The concern that I have is that this will not come to a head until December if the current court calendar is maintained. It gets closer to the election. And let me point out there are 3 other indictments pending on Donald Trump that are all going to come to a crescendo. Now, I have to tell you, Mark, I listened carefully last night on CNN, and then they cut coverage the last couple of minutes, so I went over to Fox, and I listened carefully to President Trump's speech. I was horrified at the misinformation, the misstatements of fact. It's just stunning. But the interesting thing is, he was talking to his base last night. He was talking to the people in the room, including Lindell from My Pillow and the others, Marjorie Taylor Greene and so forth. That's not who he needs to be elected president of the United States. So my sense is, and believe me, I've been wrong before and I might be wrong again, but I don't think so. I think even if Donald Trump is the Republican nominee for president of the United States, he cannot be elected to the presidency of the United States. It is clear that a majority of the American people reject Donald Trump. The Republicans now have a real crisis in hand. They have a number of viable candidates who are getting absolutely no attention at all, whether you're Nikki Haley or whether you're going to be Mike Pence, who may yet declare his candidacy, or Mike Pompeo, who is considering declaring his candidacy, or Asa Hutchinson, the former governor of Arkansas, who has declared his candidacy. All the air is being sucked out of the room by Donald Trump and his machinations. So my feeling is one of gratitude that President Trump is finally going to be presented with an indictment that means something. I believe there are at least 3 more coming down. He is going to have to confront all of those, at the same time run for president. Will his base wake up and see what's really going on?
No, of course not. Machinations is a ding word. But I think you make such a great point about trying to convert voters. You know, this really was. We have a little bit. You want to play a little bit, Kim, of the Trump stuff from last night, because this does speak to what John's talking about. This is Trump from last night, and he's really just he's playing the hits again. He's just playing the hits. Now, this is the, I guess this is.
God bless you all. God bless you all. So here we are now. It's where we were today, in a city that was so great just 4 or 5 years ago. But now we're there. Spend time there today, as you possibly read, with a local failed district attorney charging a former president of the United States for the first time in history on a basis that every single pundit and legal analyst said, there is no case. There's no case. They kept saying, there's no case. There's never been anything like this.
So this is the point that's being made on screen. He was asked not to engage in inflammatory rhetoric, but here he goes after the judge.
Trump-hating wife and family, whose daughter worked for Kamala Harris and now receives money from the Biden-Harris campaign, and a lot of it.
And then Lauren is a partner at a digital campaign strategy. It was being noted on screen that does targeted on behalf of Democrats toward getting out messages that benefit the Democratic Party. That's where she works. So there are a lot of misrepresentations there. There are a lot of lies there, et cetera. But there's a lot of anger and grievance there. And that is Trump playing the hits. And it's to what you say, he's playing to the Mike Lindells of the world.
Yeah, and look, let me tell you, there's no gag order yet. But if Donald Trump continues to attack the judge's wife, the judge's daughter, he leaves a door open that the judge, I think, will ultimately have no choice but to close. But can you imagine the arrogance, the defiance of law for Donald Trump to ignore what the judge has said in terms of the integrity of the court system? Donald Trump has no respect for our legal system. It's very clear. And will he pay the consequences? I try to flip it and think to myself, if a Barack Obama or a Joe Biden stood up and said those kinds of things, can you imagine the hell would be to pay? And listen to the Republicans. This is the problem the Republicans have. If the Republicans attack Donald Trump directly, they lose any credibility in terms of fundraising. They will be absolutely crippled. If they attack Donald Trump, then there is a risk that Donald Trump will oppose whoever the Republicans may choose as an alternative. Now, he has a problem running as a third-party candidate, because once you declare for a major party nomination, there are states, enough states, that will not allow you to run as a third-party candidate, that Donald Trump could not mount that kind of challenge.
This is key, what John's saying. Thank you, John, for making this point. You cannot be, sadly, in this country, in my view, a viable third-party candidate and win the presidency.
You can't even get on the ballot if you have announced that you are seeking a major party nomination and you don't get it. That's even more interesting. But remember, the last third-party candidate to be elected president of the United States was Abraham Lincoln in 1860.
I love it. Come on. I love it when Rothmann serves up historical facts. Yeah. I love it.
This is
what was the name of Lincoln's party that he ran under, John Rothmann?
He ran in 1860 as a Republican, but in 1864, he ran as head of the Union Party, taking a Democrat, Andrew Johnson, as vice president.
Wow. Come on. John Rothmann. So
don't skip me with softball questions. Come on.
So your point is simply that the GOP has to kind of be very careful here with how they treat this Trump thing. And so they seem to have closed ranks from a strategic standpoint, either implicit or explicit, around how can you do this? You're an activist prosecutor in New York, and you're going after weak sauce case.
Well, look, Mark, if I were still a Republican and I had decided to run for president of the United States, and I was appealing to the base of the Republican Party, I would support Donald Trump's policies, but separate myself from Donald Trump. The problem is, and I want to be very clear, and Kim McAllister and I talked about this the other day, it is a cult of personality. If you attack Donald Trump, the man, for many, you lose all credibility. And so for the potential Republican nominees, that has to be a real concern, a vital concern. The tragedy here is that the Republican Party has to get beyond Donald Trump in order to reconstitute itself. And I just don't see that happening at the moment. Let me make one other comment. I have read every page of the January 6th report. That is the thing that concerns me, because it was sedition. What Donald Trump did was seditious. And that is the question of the case that I think will really matter. I know that the question of the papers at Mar-a-Lago are a serious matter of national security, but I personally, from my own point of view, believe that what happened on January 6th was an assault on the American Republic, and that is what has to be addressed in court.
Well, that's a perfectly defensible position. I completely agree. And go ahead. No, please. I thought you were done. Go ahead.
It's your show. Go ahead.
No. I thought you were done. I always think you're done, and then you've got another, that's the beauty. You keep going. I love it.
My wife would tell you I once won an award, the Order of the Spigot. Once turned on, John could not be turned off.
I like what comes out, though, so it's fine. So you're saying, but let's get back to that. The sedition and what happened on January 6th, you're saying that everything else pales in comparison.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
And I think that is going to be the real issue. Do you know the arrogance of Donald Trump was not what happened last night? It was at his rally where he actually had the audacity to play clips of what went on January 6th, accompanied by the voices of people who are in prison who have formed a choir, the January 6th choir. I mean, this is such arrogance, well, it's really a subversion of American democracy. That's all I can say about it.
Yeah, no, I think that's so well said. John, I have first of all, I still have your finger puppet here with your girlfriend. You know who I'm talking about, John. It's Kamala Harris, John. Thank you so much. You were my first interview on radio.
That's correct.
And I've never forgotten it. I decided I'm going to keep it here for you, and every time that you visit, we'll have it for you.
Now, I just want to remind you that, because I know we're approaching an end, next week, I cannot do 10:30. I will do 11:30 if it's okay with you. I'm speaking to a group of retired national security people who wanted my views on the Middle East, and I told them I would do it. It's from 10 till 11. So
wow.
What?
Okay, no, I think it's okay.
And
It
I
is
hate
perfectly
to
fine.
stand you up, and I told them I have to be available for Mark Thompson.
Thank you. Well, so we'll do it 11:30 next week. We only have really another minute or two left. You feel confident that the Israelis are going to push back on what's happening in their government and Netanyahu. Netanyahu is, by the way, another example of someone who's being tried. You know, we always heard, I did a whole run on this yesterday. They're like, how can you try a former president, and how can you how can you charge a former president, et cetera? There have been former leaders who've been charged. There are former leaders who've been incarcerated. The sad part, it has been done for political reasons in many places. I think of Brazil, I think in part.
Exactly.
I believe of Brazil.
Yeah. In Israel, quite the contrary. Ehud Olmert, who was the prime minister of Israel, who succeeded Ariel Sharon, was forced to resign as prime minister and went to prison for his actions. And a former president of Israel was put in prison for sexual harassment. So in Israel, and I think this is very important. People say to me, well, is democracy going to survive in Israel? The answer is the threat to democracy in Israel is so similar to the threat to democracy in the United States. And the whole point is our democracies are vital. They are vibrant. And as Israeli democracy will survive despite whatever else emerges, there is no doubt in my mind that American democracy will. These are powerful things. One of the things that's happening in Israel, which is very interesting quickly, is that they do not have a constitution. They operate under something called basic law, which is the same way that Britain operates. Britain doesn't have a constitution. There is now a move to create a constitution in Israel. And actually, a constitution was drafted in 1950, which I have a copy of. And a friend of mine has been responsible for a book being published with a new constitution proposal. And we'll see how that flies. But the balance of democracy is that no one is above the law. Not a prime minister, not a president. No one has to be above the law. That is what makes our republic strong.
I'm going to throw in one last heater here, okay? Doesn't it bother you even a little bit, John Rothmann, that we can go after Trump and legitimately go after him for any of the reasons that you had suggested, the sedition, the overturning the election, inciting a violent riot, all of these things. But that in the shadow of so much that went down in the Iraq War, so much that has gone down historically just in the last couple of decades in this country, no one really stands to account, for the black ops sites, for things that could legitimately be considered war crimes, John Rothmann.
Mark, can I draw a difference between policy and personal conduct? When we go after a president on policy, as we did on George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, who was a vice president, that's one thing. But when you have an attempt to subvert the constitutional process, which the president of the United States, in a 35-word oath of office, swears to uphold, that's a whole other matter. You see, I can disagree with Donald Trump on policy, and I did vigorously, and I opposed him, and I was glad to see him defeated. But if Donald Trump is to be held accountable in history for his conduct on January 6th, that is what matters to the American Republic. If you can subvert that, then you can take apart all of the rubrics which make our democracy so strong.
Rubrics I will ding. Thank you, John Rothman. I also want to mention it is Passover. Yes. It's 2 nights, right? Tonight and tomorrow night?
Tonight and tomorrow night, we have 8 people coming for our Seder. My wife has had me cooking, cleaning, preparing. I peeled more apples for the apple matzah kugel.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
It's the temptation. I can't eat it until Passover, which begins at sundown tonight. And it is, the smell is all over the house. So, no, it's very exciting. And I want to remind you that Passover is a celebration of freedom. The idea that good triumphs over evil, that slavery must fail. And so the Seder is really an opportunity for people in our families and our friends, because many non-Jews attend Seders as well, to have the opportunity to relive a great struggle for freedom. And that great struggle for freedom can be seen on the 10 Commandments every Easter Sunday.
Yes,
on ABC.
Of course. Yeah.
By the way, I have a doll that we bought at the in Las Vegas at the Hilton there, and it's of the Pharaoh. He sits on the table. We have a little statue of Moses that sits on the table, and Ellen got a little red cloth, which becomes our Red Sea. So all I can tell you is we are just going to have a splendid night tonight. My sons, our sons, will be home, and they will recite the 4 questions. And may I tell you...
And you hide the matzah.
Yes, the afikomen will be hidden. Right. Now, it's true.
4 glasses of wine. Who can not like 4 glasses of wine at any kind of dinner? That's terrific.
Well, you might say we don't do that surreptitiously.
Oh, that's a ding word. Thank you.
I don't know. That was pretty bad.
John, he owns it.
And happy Easter to all of our listeners who observe. I always remember this Friday is Good Friday, and then Easter Sunday, and it's very good. All right.
Happy Pesach, happy Easter, and
this is a word from the Lord, and He's not happy.
Remember, the Lord is not happy. That's all you need to know. All right.
To your parents, please, Mark, my warmest good wishes.
I will indeed, John. You're so sweet. Thank you so much. John Rothman, everybody. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Yeah, we're going to talk to Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks. You talk about progressive politics. He rides herd over and is the founder of the biggest online news network in the world, TYT.
Maybe I can get a job.
They are amazing. Great, great work at TYT. So I'm looking forward to having Cenk on in just a couple of minutes. What is that? Oh, that's the that's the Passover music for Rothman. Thank you. Better late than never.
Well, oops. Are you there? You muted yourself. You have to unmute. Mark Thompson, you have to unmute.
I don't know if you can hear me, Kim, but my system is sorting out. Yeah, okay. So news first and then Cenk. Okay. Smash the like button for John Rothman, Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Yeah, baby. I'm Kim McAllister on the Mark Thompson Show. And we'll go ahead and start with this fine fella. A lawyer for former President Trump, of course, believes his hush money case will be dismissed. Criminal defense attorney Joseph Tacopina telling NBC he doesn't believe this case will even go to trial. Trump faces dozens of criminal counts in New York City related to alleged illegal payments to kill negative information before the 2016 election. There are multiple people dead, unfortunately, after a tornado struck about 100 miles from St. Louis. This is south of St. Louis. Missouri State Highway Patrol says 4 people are confirmed dead in the community of Glen Allen. This comes as millions of Americans are in the path of severe weather expected to impact parts of the central U.S. and the Midwest today. There is no doubt a Wall Street Journal reporter is being wrongfully detained in Russia. That, according to the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, saying the Biden administration is working through the process of officially declaring Evan Gershkovich as wrongfully detained after the Wall Street Journal reporter based in Moscow was arrested by Russian authorities. The allegations that he was spying. The Justice Department has reached a $144 million settlement with families who sued over the Sutherland Springs Church massacre in Texas. A total of 26 people were killed there. A federal judge ruled the U.S. was liable for damages because the gunman had an arrest record that was not uploaded to the federal gun buying database. In the Bay Area.
That does seem a bit scandalous.
Right?
Tragically scandalous, yeah. Yeah.
If that record had been uploaded to the federal gun buying database, then maybe the guy wouldn't have gotten a gun. So, yeah. So that's $144 million that the government of the United States is paying. In the Bay Area, grandmother of a murdered 8-year-old girl is now suing Alameda County. This is in regards to the death of Sophia Mason. The grandmother claims the Department of Children and Family Services didn't help Sophia. You can see her pictured there in the center. She says workers ignored concerns of abuse made by relatives, teachers, and even the girl herself. Police found the child in a bathtub last year at a Hayward home. They say she'd been dead for a month. Her mother and boyfriend have both been charged in the killing. I think she was actually found in a Modesto home, not a Hayward home. But nevertheless, the grandmother is suing Alameda County. There is a new push to turn empty San Francisco offices into housing. Mayor London Breed introducing legislation yesterday to the Board of Supervisors. It would change an old planning code to make it easier and less expensive to convert vacant buildings into residential spaces, because what are they going to do in the financial district with all this empty office space, right? Leaders believe this will reinvigorate the downtown area. The vacancy rate said to be between 30 and 40%. That could hold nearly 11,000 new homes. Here's data showing Eli Lilly's Alzheimer drug reduces brain plaque in patients with early stages of the disease. A higher dose of the experimental treatment had a bigger effect on clearing out the plaque that disrupts cell function in the brain of Alzheimer patients.
I'm sorry, what kind of drug is it, though? It's what kind of drug?
It's Eli Lilly's Alzheimer drug.
Oh.
Right.
But that's not because there was one that we featured that looked questionable. Now, is this a new one?
I don't think so.
Interesting.
It may be the same one.
Yeah, there's a lengthy, remember we did a couple of stories on the fact that they'd done these long-term studies, and at the end of it all, they really hadn't found that one of these drugs made a difference. And yet it still got FDA approval. I mean, it was really an example of regulatory capture, right? That the pharmaceutical companies just had put so much money into it that they greenlit it. Anyway, but this... I want to hear more about this. Can we follow up on this in the days ahead?
This drug, the pharmaceutical company Eli Lilly, they've been trying to bring a treatment for this disease, Alzheimer's, to market for decades now. So they're saying this drug in early stages of the disease reduces that plaque that causes the problem. So yes, we will follow up on that. Cool. Meanwhile, in Iowa, the women's basketball head coach Lisa Bluder says, "Thanks, but no thanks, Joe Biden." Jill Biden suggested the Hawkeyes could be invited to the White House despite their national championship loss on Sunday. Usually they only invite the winners.
Right, the consolation invitation, right.
I guess so. Bluder declined the possible invite, but said the First Lady and the President, they could stop by the Carver Hawkeye Arena anytime. Is that a slight to the First Lady to say, no, thank you?
If she shouldn't have, it was, they're saying it's a non-story. She misstepped. She tried to do something, and now they're just following over. How do you react to, it's all of that. Yeah. They're just trying to, it's clickbait-ish. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel if you're the winning team and they invite the losers to come?
Well, that's the point. I mean, the winners
Yeah.
go to the White House, and the
Come
losers,
on.
sadly, are the,
What's
no one's a
going on?
loser, Kim. It's just the second place finishers. That's
Oh,
it.
is that right?
Yeah.
Take your trophy and go.
It's America.
This,
There are no losers here. Yeah.
This report is crowdfunded. We thank those of you already in the Mark Thompson Show community chatting up a storm over there. You can find the Patreon and the PayPal link at themarkthompsonshow.com. And of course, the super chat here on YouTube is live. I'm Kim McAllister on the Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson.
I've told you it's never easy being in this business.
The Mark Thompson Show.
What up, everybody? It is hour 2. Very excited to bring on a special guest, which I shall do in mere moments. But first, I want to tell you, Albert is not here today, and nor is Tony here. And the problem is that since neither one is here, we have only the community area in the YouTube channel to vote for Mark's Madness. Already in the first round, the first round of the final 4, it is the final 4 today. Where My Weed Smokers At?
Where are my weed smokers at?
Is playing out against.
Seriously, what the
Both survived this entire tournament to make it to the final 4. You vote for either Where My Weed Smokers At or Seriously What the F. That was in the first hour. Those two make up the first half of the final 4. Now, I will share with you the second half.
Now,
I can't believe it!
Mark's Madness.
You'll vote for either. This is going to be tough. You'll vote for either.
Why are you yelling?
Why are you yelling? Or.
Good day, sir!
Oh, this is what it's about, Kim. You got to pick a favorite. Only one moves on. Either.
Why are you yelling?
Or.
Good day, sir!
Vote in the community section of our YouTube channel. Go to the main channel. You'll see community, and that's where you vote. Good luck.
I don't know if I can choose. That's hard.
I know. This is very tough. These are the OGs of the tournament.
Yeah.
The top seeds. Where are you yelling? Good day, sir. Going up against each other. The Cinderella story in Mark's Madness is Seriously What the F. But it goes up against Where My Weed Smokers, which is, again, a fan favorite. The voting, I will tell you, is very, very close, within a handful of percentage points at this time. So community section is where you vote. This guy patiently waiting. Thank you for waiting, Cenk. You're the OG of the online news world and of progressive thought in this world of changing politics. I want to talk to you about everything I can squeeze into the next few minutes. Here he is, the founder of the TYT network, Cenk Uygur, everybody. Yeah. From an undisclosed location. Looks kind of like it's log cabin-y behind you.
Yeah. Tucker Carlson's letting me borrow his studio for the weekend. So Jimmy Dore's going to stop by in a minute. And
all right. You've got a real party going on.
Yeah.
I have a dream that somehow all of the super dug-in arch rivals politically and in sort of this world of thought exchange and idea exchange, that they're all just performative, and then they just take off their mask after, and everybody's at a cocktail party where they're all, backslapping and laughing.
Well, that actually described American media for a long, long time. That was kind of true.
Right.
Now, if it would be fairly surreal, and that movie in your head would be directed by Andy Kaufman. That's where he's gone all these years to go direct that movie, the most spectacular movie ever made. No, seriously, I've seen a lot in these last 25 years of being in media. And in the old days, I always felt slightly discomforted by the fact that we did get along in the green room, right? That people would drop all the fights in the green room and be fairly amiable. And I always thought feels a little fake. Well, mission accomplished in the wrong direction. We overcorrected. Now we all hate each other. And it's
I mean, it's remarkable. The jihadism is really scary. I want to ask you about. I can't. The elephant in the room really is this Trump situation and how it's being exploited politically by Trump. It seems as though he's playing the same old tunes in his, his post-indictment remarks / rally that he had. It's so arch, it's so intense, it's so personal. The going after Bragg and his family, and you have, I think it's either Trump Jr. or Eric actually posting pictures of his wife and his child. There's another level of rancor, and toxicity. And so when you talk about media, I see it in the political discourse now.
Yeah. No, look, I saw this story about the Trump kids, Junior and Eric, and how they were going after the judge's family in a vicious kind of way on social media. And so it's scary on a number of fronts. Number one, these guys do literally direct stochastic terrorism, in my opinion, where they point to a target and go, golly gee, I wish somebody would do something about that. And then lo and behold, some percentage of the time they do. And it's almost always violence. And so that's kind of how the brown shirts worked. It was they would direct vigilante terrorism against their political opponents. And so we're definitely in scary times. I wish that we could have had a frontal attack against the establishment that wasn't loaded with a bus full of lunatics and criminals. Like, if what we needed was a sound, rational, yet vituperative, still, let's be honest, a little bit angry, attack against the establishment. But instead we got this pathological criminal who can't stop breaking the law, and now a cult has formed around being pro-criminality, when no, that wasn't the point. The point was we're all frustrated that no one in power ever gets prosecuted. Now we've lost the right wing saying no one should ever get prosecuted, or at least my political opponent should get prosecuted for no goddamn reason, and my guys should be able to break any law that they like. No, you missed the whole point of the revolution. No, the whole point was to get equality and justice for all, not just for your side or my side.
So well said. Right. It's really descended into, political camps. Vituperative, Alding. Yes. I'll tell you, though, that when you look back at, and I was just mentioning this to John Rothmann, who was just here, the passes that we typically give high-placed government officials and even high-placed members of the Wall Street community when it comes to the way they have, they pursued, in the case of the Iraq War, the black sites, the torture. There were war crimes, I think, evidence of war crimes all over the place. No one is held to account. Same thing with so many of these Wall Streeters who brought the economy to their knees and continue to bring the economy to their knees. And then we go after Trump here. Is the argument, Cenk, hey, look, how can you go after our guy Trump, but then let these other guys skate? Is there anything to that?
Oh, there's definitely something to that. So that's why we all feel like we're caught in some sort of, torture chamber where there's gaslighting in every direction, no matter where you. The right wing says, no, all these obvious laws that Donald Trump broke, your eyes are lying to you. No, he didn't sleep with the porn star. He didn't pay the hush money. It isn't illegal to do that according to campaign finance law. No, you can cheat on your taxes. Yes, you can falsify business documents. No, none of that stuff is true. You can't do any of that. It's all illegal. His co-conspirator went to prison for 3 years. Now, having said that, when the establishment says, no, everything's even-handed, people prosecute the powerful and all the time, and Donald Trump is not being treated differently, that also is gaslighting. And that's also not true. And it drives people crazy. And it's part of what's driven the right wing crazy, because they're like, well, look, I know that's not true, so I guess the opposite is true. And the reality is, no, brothers and sisters, gaslit in all directions. None of it is true. Okay. Donald Trump did break the laws, but so did a lot of other people in power. You want to know a guide to whether someone who's done white-collar crime is going to get prosecuted? We tell people on the Young Turks this rule all the time, and you can go backwards to the last 20, 30 years, and you can go forwards, and you will see going forwards from now on, this rule is always true. So how can we predict the future if the situation isn't rigged? So the rule is the only people who ever get prosecuted for serious white-collar crime are the people who stole from other rich people. You steal from the poor, you steal from the middle class, you steal from the American people. You're never going away. That's perfectly normal among the rich and powerful. That is what the mainstream media will never tell you, because they are the rich and powerful, and they serve to protect the rich and powerful, right? No, the only time those guys ever go to prison is if they rip off Goldman Sachs. And Bernie Madoff's only crime was that he stole from the rich. So these things are true. And unfortunately, like, there's a couple of shows left, your show, our show, just a couple of handful others that'll tell anybody the truth, which is, yes, the elites are screwing us. Yes, the game is rigged against us. But yes, that doesn't mean that Trump can break all the laws he likes.
Well, it's just you're so sweet to include our show in it. I mean, what I'm seeing from TYT, though, is you guys have really been crusading in this arena for a long, long time. Now, I mean, Cenk, isn't it true that when you started, I think you were the first show on YouTube? Is that right?
So kind of. So the first video ever was by the founders of YouTube, right?
Right.
And Young Turks joined in the first couple of months of YouTube. So there must have been some videos. I don't know if there were any shows before we got on there, but we were the first official partner of YouTube. When they decided to monetize and share with the YouTube creators, now known as the YouTubers, we were the very first YouTubers.
And since then, you have such a crowded field. I mean, it's an industry that's grown up around you. And even, I mean, it's grown up in all kinds of different ways. I mean, you can find, YouTube. I just was trying to buy a toaster, and I did a deep dive on YouTube about different toasters and various features. And literally, there are people there reviewing toasters, and there's a 20-minute, and it's just one of probably 50 reviews of different toasters. It sounds so silly, but that's just, so I'm saying it's across an entire breadth of material. But even just in the world of politics, and even in the world of progressivism, there is a much more crowded field than I think anyone ever could have envisioned.
Yeah, well, so part of the reason why I decided to go into online media was A, because I had no money. If you wanted to start a media network in the traditional places like TV, you needed a couple of $1 billion, and my bank account was at zero. So that option was foreclosed to me. Whereas in the online media world, you could put up any videos you like. You could make any show you like, and then you could do it at a relatively low cost. That was a huge advantage, right? The second advantage that we had was that no one in media would tell you that we were living under corporate rule and that politicians were liars. They all kept pretending there were real debates, when in reality, they're all bribed by millions of dollars in corporate contributions. Every debate we have in America is fake. So we were always going to go into the Iraq War. The entire debate was fake, and that was orchestrated. That play was orchestrated by mainstream media. So now that turned into an advantage, Mark, because now there's no gatekeepers. And yeah, we don't have any money, but hey, every person that stumbles upon the Young Turks, especially back then, was like, holy cow, wait, that's true. How are they allowed? Like, literally, people would write in and go, are you allowed to say that? Are you allowed to say things that are true? And so now because of that, what happened was inevitable. Without the gatekeepers, more and more people started saying things that are true online. And the ones that were particularly charismatic, particularly right, etc., wound up gathering bigger and bigger audiences. Now there's an army of progressive shows. Most of them are just individuals, right? But there's a couple of companies like TYT that's does progressive media in a bigger way. But overall, the most unwritten story in American media is the rise of progressive media from the grassroots of online media. Like the right wing thinks they've lost completely. That's why they're pouring in hundreds of millions of dollars to try to get a couple of bastions within the ocean of progressive content. So they fund Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder and Dennis Prager, et cetera, in a desperate attempt to hold off the tide. Yet, have you ever seen any New York Times articles about that? Have you ever seen that even remarked upon or, frightened by, or just noted in any way on CNN, New York Times, cable news in any way, shape, or form? No, the only people talking about it are, funny enough, are Republican pollsters who are saying, guys, we've lost. We've lost all of the young. TikTok is so progressive, we have to shut it down and pretend that it's a national security issue. Yet no one in mainstream media talks about that wave because, honestly, they hate that wave. They hate it. It's young people who won't say that the status quo is great, that corporate rule is great, and that we should be ruled by the mighty and powerful. So mainstream media absolutely despises what we have started.
When you say mainstream media, just so you can help us recalibrate here in our last few minutes, you're talking about legacy media, network news, I assume the way the networks express on cable news outlets that they own. Is that what you mean?
100%. Yeah. Look,
that's in
news,
television. But you also mean the Times.
I do. Cable news is the worst of it, and television is particularly empty. But I call them news actors, not news anchors. They read scripts. They don't even, half the time, they don't even know the stories. And they all act out a play. Oh, one guy got $1 million from that company. The other guy got $1 million from that company. Let's ignore that. Let's ignore the elephant in the room and pretend they're having an honest debate. Hey, let's roll in the news actors. They're really good at pretending there's an honest debate going on in Washington. But yes, it definitely includes print as well. There's, look, AP and Reuters, they do their best. I want them to be better. I want them to be as objective as possible. I don't want them slanted in our direction. I want them actually objective. But oftentimes, even like NPR will be terrible. I mean, if Bernie Sanders or any progressive runs, you tune into NPR and they will tell you corporate pulp about how socialists will destroy the system that we have, our beloved corporate system, which is so great and only kills 65,000 people a year because they don't have health insurance, let alone all the other problems. No, mainstream media is trash. It's a dumpster fire.
And mainstream media, as you've noted, is losing its hold. So they are giving up more and more real estate. CNN is desperate. I mean, a CNN, MS to a degree, Fox News Channel even, they're losing audience in huge chunks.
Yeah, Mark, this is the end of my book, Justice is Coming, which is going to come out in September. You can pre-order if you like at tyt.com/justice. Part of the advantage that we have, and a very ironic advantage, that mainstream media completely ignores progressives, hates progressives, has disdain for progressives, and views progressives to be invisible, is that they're never going to see us coming. We've almost won. Our armies have surrounded their armies. Every day, CNN and MSNBC drop more and more audience. Their average age now at CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC are 67, 69, and 70. They're basically doing shows out of senior citizen centers, and the online army rises and rises and rises. But mainstream media, now surrounded and outnumbered, doesn't even see them. Which is the most amazing part. And I quote Mark Twain. It's a little bit cliched, but it's totally true. That's why he said it. That's why it resonated. Change happens really gradually, and then all of a sudden. All of a sudden is right around the corner.
In our last couple of minutes, first of all, please don't make fun of older boys and girls, because I love older boys and girls, and we have a lot of progressively minded older boys and girls who are part of our family here in this. I know you weren't, but I'm just kind of giving you a hard time.
No, look, guys, I talk about
You're
average.
saying the audience is going away because they're literally dying off on Fox News Channel, et cetera. I think that was the point you were trying to make in part anyway.
Yeah, I that's partly what it is. Nobody's getting cable anymore and watching those guys. The cord cutters are now cord nevers, right? So they have no new energy coming. Guys, a lot of people in our audience are older too, and I love them. They're some of the best diehard progressives. That's not the point. The point is, unfortunately, there are demographics that show you clearly which direction they vote, right? So under 45-year-olds vote very progressive. Above 65-year-olds, unfortunately, are the most conservative voters.
Sure.
On average, right? And why are they the most conservative? Because they consume not only right-wing media, they consume mainstream media. And so they have been fed corporate propaganda their whole lives. By the way, that includes me and probably you, Mark. I grew up on mainstream media. I grew up on corporate propaganda. And I'm partly pissed because I have the zeal of the converted that I was brainwashed by them. And so once you get rid of that brainwashing, you realize, of course, the powerful don't have your best interest in mind. They have their best interest in mind. Of course, the millions of dollars are bribes. Of course they are. Of course, these politicians are just servants. That's why they're all so weak. That's why Donald Trump ran over them. Even though he has two brain cells to rub together, he easily bullied and manipulated and steamrolled all of the Republicans and almost all of the Democrats because they're weaklings. They were hired to be butlers of the rich. That's all politicians are.
I just love that. And you saw it, by the way, in the Leslie Stahl interview with Marjorie Taylor Greene. There's just no real journalism going on, even among people who we tend to elevate to, the 60 Minutes pedestal, for example. Here's one for you. MSNBC is the Fox News of the left. I don't think that's true, though. Cenk, you would say that MSNBC probably, you would say, is not really of the left.
No, not at all. No, MSNBC is the CNN of the center. So no,
right.
Guys, you're looking at it the wrong way. So right-wing media, Fox News, and mainstream media, CNN and MSNBC, are part of the same team. They're part of corporate media. They're good cop, bad cop. So MSNBC will attack not only progressive politicians, but progressive policies just as much, if not more so, than Fox News. In fact, if you're talking about culture wars, MSNBC and Fox fight, and Fox is on the right, and MSNBC is actually on the left on culture war issues. They are, okay? They don't think you should discriminate against black people, gay people, etc. But when you get to economic issues, they all agree every time. And again, guys, it isn't just about pointing out what's in the past. Watch for yourselves going forward. Whenever there's a proposal that helps the average American, student debt relief, a higher minimum wage, paid family leave, all of a sudden, Stephanie Rule on MSNBC, Sean Hannity on Fox News, Anderson Cooper on CNN, they'll all agree. We can't have this. It's going to cause inflation. The real problem is the workers. They're getting paid too much and then getting their student debts relieved. No, we have to let every major company go bankrupt and give them all of the money, give them trillions and trillions of dollars. Everyone on MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News will agree. But if it ever comes to you, Medicaid, anything that helps you, no, outrageous. They're all economically on the same team. It's good cop, bad cop, just like Democrats and Republicans are good cop, bad cop. The whole point is to trick you into agreeing to corporate rule. They're not in the business of manufacturing news. As a legendarily smart guy once said, they're in the business of manufacturing consent.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Cenk sticks the landing, everybody. How about that? I look forward to your book in September. You'll be back before that a couple of times, I hope, and we'll definitely give the book some love. I've already seen in our chat that many are going to TYT to subscribe, and I think there are good things awaiting them. So I'll let you get back to whatever you were doing there in your superhero lair. I thank you for taking time to spend with us here, and it really was great to introduce you to the audience here. I know you've been on the radio show a couple of times when I was doing a radio show in San Francisco, but this is the new forum. So thank you for joining us on this platform, Cenk.
I appreciate it, guys. Love you. Hope to come back soon.
Cenk Uygur, everybody. Yeah, come on. Love it, love it, love it, love it.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Good stuff. Smash the like button like a boss for Cenk Uygur.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Yeah. Laying down some truth. By the way, Kim's News, and then I will update Mark's Madness, which today, lacking both Albert and Tony. Tony's...
Thanks, Tony.
He's working at KFI. Albert is working his side hustle.
Albert, thank you.
I guess this would be his side hustle, his main job.
You notice who's here for you. I just want to point out, like, consistently.
Kim, how are you?
And Kim, working,
I got your back.
Sick. You know, she's working. She's not completely well. She still has a bit of whatever was bothering her.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what it is. I do want to mention that whatever it is that Kim has, she's told me that if we could just get a few more Patreon subscriptions, she would feel better. She doesn't know what her mystery illness is, but she knows that if we can simply get a few more Patreon and PayPal contributors, that she can be buoyed by that. And the expensive work of bringing her back to full health can be done, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. And how do you do it? You go to our website, themarkthompsonshow.com. You click on the Patreon or PayPal link and you contribute. Do it for Kim. Don't do it for me.
That was beautiful. Beautifully said. Really.
I'm a bit emotional when I think about it.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
I might cry. Kim's news, and we update Mark's Madness next. Mark Thompson Show. There we go.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. Yes, indeed. Let's go to the news because we'll talk about, guess what the lead story is again this time. Yeah, I know. Big surprise
he had his
there.
Best blue suit and a brand new red tie. I thought he looked good.
His hair's kind of a little fuzzy.
I don't know. I think he looks good. I know all of you libs want to make fun of him. But I thought he really brought it, that Trump.
He looked extra tan yesterday.
Yeah, he brought his best tan, his best new tie, new suit, probably a new shirt.
There's never been anything like this.
Thank you, Mr. President. Great to see you again.
There's never been anything like this.
Okay.
Former President Donald Trump may be on trial while
I've
campaigning.
never seen anything like it before.
Okay.
Yes, while campaigning for the GOP primaries.
Right, we've never heard of that.
I have never heard of something like that.
No, exactly.
Campaign trail, little rally, back to court. Trump faces dozens of criminal counts in New York City related to the accounting of alleged illegal hush money payments to kill negative information before the 2016 election. The prosecutors in the case are pushing for the trial to start in January of 2024. That would be just before the primaries kick off in Iowa and New Hampshire in early February. So that's a busy little time there for him.
Yeah, he's busy. He's on the road. But he's buoyed by the love of his constituency, which never goes away. The hate, the policy of grievance never gets old for him.
Well, there was no love apparently this morning when police responded to reports of a woman entering Trump Tower in Chicago with a rifle. There's a large police presence in that area. So far, no reports of shots fired or any injuries. Again, that's at Trump Tower, Chicago.
Wow.
God bless America. The end.
Yeah, but there were no shots fired.
No shots fired.
Yeah. Wow.
Gas Buddy says OPEC's decision to cut production will send the price of gas higher. Gas Buddy estimates the cuts will cause gas prices to rise by 10 to 20 cents. The average price of a gallon of gas in the United States, $3.52 a gallon. Clearly not here in California. Taiwan's president is here in the United States for talks with Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. The talks are being held at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in Simi Valley, California. The highest level meeting of a Taiwanese president on U.S. soil since 1979. So
Kevin McCarthy getting into the Taiwan-China game. No.
I think President Biden doesn't get involved because there's very sensitive issues talking to the Taiwanese president, and then you get in trouble with China. So it's a delicate balance. Yeah.
But
so there he is, Kevin McCarthy. He's like, hey,
Kevin
come on to
McC.
California.
Yeah.
We'll walk around, look at the Reagan Library. It's going to be fine. At least 20 police officers across California are at risk of losing their badge. Some work for departments in San Bernardino, San Francisco, Stockton, Rohnert Park, and Redwood City, as well as Sonoma, San Diego, Kern, and San Bernardino counties. They are accused of some serious crimes, sex crimes, extortion, excessive force, destroying evidence. This is the first public list since the state became the latest to decertify officers for serious misconduct. The Commission of Peace Officer Standards will be deciding their fate. It looks like some California classrooms are not as full. Enrollment this school year down by almost 40,000 students across the state.
Where are they going, Kim?
6 years in a row, somewhere else. New data released yesterday shows improvement. I know, good answer, right? Shows improvement on the 2 years most affected by COVID. The Department of Education says enrollment is actually up in kindergarten and grades 7 and 11. As it stands now, 5.85 million students are enrolled statewide. So the question is actually a good one. The question, where did they go? Some moved out of state. Some didn't go back to school. Some are permanently being homeschooled now. So, and some went to private school, where the classrooms, many of them stayed open, whereas the states, shut down schools during COVID. So a lot of people switched around and started making different choices during COVID, and that's affected enrollment numbers.
No, I see. Interesting.
Yeah. No surprise. Many are struggling with the high cost of living here in California. I'm telling you, who isn't? Go to the grocery store, no matter what you buy, it's $100 before you walk out.
So true.
What does it take, though? What salary does it take to live happily? What do you think?
In California?
This is a new study from Purdue University and GoBankingRates.com. What do they put the number of a salary that it takes to live happily at in California?
I'm going to say pretty high. I'm going to say $120,000.
Wow, you lowballed it. Okay.
I lowballed it?
You did. In order to live happily in California, the study says you need $145,635.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to round up. 146. 146.
Wow.
It's down slightly from last year. Still, though, a lot of money as the state deals with one of the highest unemployment rates in the nation. The study found only Massachusetts and Hawaii needed a higher salary to be happy.
Jeez. That's a lot of money, although I wasn't way off. I was just $26,000 off.
You lowballed it.
Per year.
Well,
you're very tough. You're a very tough professor.
Yeah,
you got to have all the right answers, I guess, with you.
I'm sorry, Mark.
Class.
That just won't do.
Yeah.
Speaking of money, baby, this show is crowdfunded. Woohoo!
Yeah,
Thank
it is.
those of you in the Mark Thompson community. I've been watching the chat today. You guys are awesome. You can find the Patreon and the PayPal link at themarkthompsonshow.com. Of course, the super chat right here on YouTube is live. I'm seeing those roll in as well. So we appreciate anything you can do to support the show. Look, there's one right now from John Anderson. Thank you so much.
Yeah, right on, John.
Yeah, I'm Kim McAllister on the Mark Thompson Show.
Yes, love all of that.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson.
Who's Mark Thompson?
There's a reason that this place is fun.
Joe Box and Little Anthony.
Well, Tony, what angered you?
I stand corrected. My words upset so many people.
Yes, I'm very unhappy with everything I've heard today on your show.
Girl, you just woo.
is fantastic.
Whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
You know what, pal? You created havoc and chaos. Listen to me. I don't want to hear you.
Morning.
Supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or in some other way.
Is fantastic.
Do you know who I am? I'm kind of a big deal.
All right, I love it. I love it. Little reggae. Like the groove. Thank you for joining us. We are, as Kim was saying, completely crowdfunded. So appreciate all of you who have joined the crowd, joined our community. One of the great things about this platform that distinguishes it, I feel, from the old radio station, KGO, is that we are able to see you and see you interact with each other, and in a sense, not even need us in some ways. We're here for information, we're here for analysis, we're here for perspective. But there are a number of ways that you guys interact in the community, and it's really so cool. So I love that, and I love that way that this platform distinguishes itself from others. So I just want to tell you it's so cool that, and just in the last couple of days, as you know, we have no sponsors, so we're completely crowdfunded, as Kim has mentioned, and I think I mentioned. And to see you guys step up, both through Patreon and PayPal, to help fill that gap is really cool. And so I'm counting on that sustaining us. So very excited about that.
You want to do thank yous now, or you want to do it at the end?
We can do some thank yous now, but I really, Kim, right this instant, I want to update
Mark's
You're
Madness.
Damn right. The commissioner is away today.
Albert, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know, Albert. Thank you. But he did leave me word. It's running 50-50. Everything is running 50-50 right now. You vote in the community section of our YouTube platform for either...
Why are you yelling?
Why are you yelling? Or...
Good day, sir!
Wow, it's either...
Why are you yelling?
Or...
Good day, sir!
And you'll have it till midnight tonight. It's the final four. Now, I know what you're saying. Well, that's two of the final four. What are the other two of the final four?
Now, I can't believe it! Mark's Madness.
I'll tell you what the other two of the final four are. They were introduced in the first hour. You'll vote for either...
Where are my weed smokers at?
Or...
Seriously, what the...
That's right. It's either...
Where are my weed smokers at?
Or it's...
Seriously, what the...
So that is also alive until midnight tonight in the community section of our YouTube channel. Good luck! If you look at the top of the leaderboard, you see, let me get the leaderboard up, and I will tell you that at the top of the leaderboard, Daniel Martin, Sayo Jones, and Janet R., along with Sergio Sanchez, Ruben Martinez, Jennifer Vesper, Laura Rawson, and CBN Roro, who kind of really had a very strong start to the tournament. And let me see if I can share this with you, just so you can see the top. Well, you know, I don't want to. I'm really of divided mind on it. I don't want to share it with you while there's voting going on. You know what I mean?
You don't want to affect or sway the...
Thank you, Kim.
vote.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
There's no electioneering here on the Mark Thompson Show.
And there was a comment in the chat, and it wasn't completely wrong. It was an after-hours chatting. It's some of my favorite chatting, when those of you who listen to the show or watch the show and take it in on delay, you know, in replay, because the show's there for all day, all night. You can watch it anytime. I like after-hours chatting.
I do too. I like to log in late at night.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I noticed and I responded to this person, a comment saying, why do you update which thing is ahead? Doesn't that affect voting?
Oh.
Now, we've always updated in real time. That is to say, during the live show which one's ahead, but understood that there's going to be voting until midnight. So it's something we've always done. But as I noted to the person who was commenting, that doesn't mean they're wrong. I think we may have to, in the off season, meet in the commissioner's office to decide, do we still want to do that? Because it probably does affect voting. But we always have done it, is the answer. So we have said, such and such is ahead, it's 53% to 47%. We have always done it that way.
Sure.
But I thought it was a legitimate point. So that's what's going on with March Madness and also with the comments around March Madness. We're always trying to improve it. But anyway, at the leaderboard, to just get back to that, you've got a really tight race. So in points, and different point values are ascribed to and assigned to certain matchups, because if you have a lower seed going up against a higher seed and the lower seed wins and there are more points, I think that's how it works. Top of the board right now is Daniel Martin with 35. And let me make sure this is the latest. And pretty Carol good. Is next. No, Sayo is next. So it's 43 for Daniel Martin, 41 for Sayo. Janet has 37. She's tied with Sergio. Ruben has 37, so he's tied with those two also. Then you drop to 36, it's Jennifer. 35, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th place. In 8th place, CBN Aurora. In 8th place also, Allison with 35 points. JR with 35. Kevin with 35. So you have an extremely tight race. And there is there are only 2, I think, or 3, maybe literally only 2 that have done something with their bracket. I'm trying to be a little bit tactful about the way I put it, that would allow them to have the championship and own it solely. So I'm going to wrap this up, but just to say, March Madness is this year really a nail biter, and strategically, some stuff's going on here at the end that is really interesting. So that's the latest. You can vote, as I say, till midnight tonight in the community section. Where are my weed smokers taking on seriously what the F, and why are you yelling versus good day, sir? So,
The Mark Thompson Show.
Now let's recognize some people, please.
Yeah, I'm going to go through these fast, just so you know. I'm moving at a clip here.
You're moving at a clip. I like it when you're clipping. $10 from Gail. We talked about that earlier. Thank you for the super sticker, Gail. Walter for $10. Thank you. And aloha to you, kid.
Thank you very much.
Love it, Walter. And thank you, Gail. Michael Adams.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Get well, Kim. There
Thank
you
you,
go.
Michael. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
nice.
Appreciate that from all of you. Appreciate James Buchanan for $5. Right on,
Thank you. Thank you.
To all of you. Marge for 20.
Thank you.
Very cool. Thank you, Marge, for tossing in. Vicky Wade in our virtual tip jar. Thank you, Vicky. Appreciate that. Harry as well. $20.
Big shout
out, Harry. Dan Ashley shout out. Did I hear right? Cenk is here today? That's right. This came in the first hour. The Upton Sinclair of our era. Wow, great reference. I will ding the reference to Upton Sinclair. Justice is coming. It was $20. And go back for a second, Kim, if you would, please. It's from B.O.
Big shout out.
Yeah. Luis for $9.99. Rothmann is the John Wick of politics, killing it. Thank you, John. Yeah, John was great today. And John Anderson, update, Trump is not like Jesus or MLK. Carry on. Now, he's got the cult of charisma that would seem to fly in the face of that. But anyway, thanks for the
big shout out.
Yeah, and Dora, thank you for the $10. Love it.
Big
thank
shout
you.
out.
All of you. Pamela Kirby.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And Calvin, shadow producer Calvin Wong. So much great material coming through him. Thanks for the $20.
Big shout out.
Cenk Uygur, can I buy you a drink? What does it say? Jay Seller for a couple bucks. Very good. And love your show, Mark, and thank you for having Cenk and his bicep fist of fury. Yeah. Chaplain Fred, a.k.a. Prayer Dragon. Thank you for $5, Chaplain. Mr. Monkey Auto for $25. Wow. Big shout out. I'm not going to cry.
I'm not gonna cry.
$25 gets me into that place.
I have to say, I'm really excited about this next one because she just found us. She missed us and she just found us.
Where are my weed smokers at? So glad to find you all here.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer, $5. Thanks for the $5. Big Dan Ashley shout out. And
where are my weed smokers at?
There you go. Yeah. D. Graham. You know, when you got the weed going, sometimes it's hard to find things. D. Graham, big shout out. And thank you for the contribution. That's our virtual tip jar. It really helps keep us afloat, you know. And as I mentioned, I can't mention it enough. The real ongoing monthly support that people in the Patreon and PayPal world have provided us, and some big PayPal contributions. And you can find both of those at themarkthompsonshow.com. Click the Patreon or PayPal link and join our community and be a part of the ongoing support of this show. It really does matter. So thanks a lot again.
You know what?
Yes.
While we're thinking about it, everyone who hasn't done it already, could you just click the like button?
Oh, yeah. Smash it like a ball.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Just right now. Just boop. There we go.
It is free. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't get to the community tab on my iPad. Says, Sayo says, seriously, what the F? Great guest, double punch today. Let's yell at that. I am yelling. Yeah. I am.
Why are you yelling?
No, but somebody was saying, maybe I've lost it now.
Kathleen says, hey, I can't get to the community tab on my iPad.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Where's that?
Yes, you can.
Where's my yes, you can?
Yes, you can.
I used to have that.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
I'll tell you how you get there. I'm here to help.
To click on the coffee cup, right?
You click on...
Yes, you can!
There you go. Thank you. So can you get to the community section in YouTube on iPad? Yes, you can. You click on the coffee cup, as Kim has said. You get to our main channel. It says The Mark Thompson Show. And it even says go to channel or something like that.
Yes, you can!
Yeah, and you click on that. You'll see home, videos, live, and if you keep going to shorts, and then community, it will be there. Now, if for some reason, the way your iPad is configured or because of some, I don't know, idiosyncrasy of configuration, and I will ding idiosyncrasy and configuration.
You're really
I would say
ding happy today.
I would say that you would look to the right, and you'll see something that says laptop site or something like it. Make some reference like that. And that's maybe how you can get it on your iPad also. It should work on your iPad, though, no problem. It really should. So I don't know what the problem is, but give it a go again, and then look on the right side as you look at that picture, and you'll see, but that's the main page, and you can see how it says, right, home, and you can't see it unless you're
videos,
really...
shorts, live, playlist, and then right here, community.
So click on that, see what happens. Click on community. And then if you go down, is it there? The poll?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So where are my weed smokers versus seriously what the F? And why are you yelling versus good day, sir? Again, seriously what the F?
Seriously, what the
is the Cinderella story going up against...
where are my weed smokers at?
And then also, this is the final four, so the other two. Why are you yelling?
Why are you yelling?
Versus good day, sir.
Good day, sir.
Both pairs are up there for the final four. So that's how you do it. I hope you can find it and be part of it. And click on community. You got it. All right.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I have to tell you, though, before this whole Mark Madness thing, I never even knew you could click on the coffee cup. So.
Oh. So, well, this is the new age. There's a lot of coffee cup clicking going on in the new age, and I'm glad you were able to find out about it. If you want to reach us for any reason, you can email us at themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. Yeah, themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. We've covered a lot of territory today.
We have.
We really have. I wanted to cover more. We kind of got into thanking people and all the rest, but I have a choice. I'll offer you 2 Las Vegas stories. One is kind of grim, but interesting detail. Other is sports, which may not interest you as much, Kim. It's about the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh,
so you've
I
got
have
the
to pick
one
Raiders.
Oh, really?
People-
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a Raider fan, but I think a lot of people in the Bay Area care about that.
Yeah.
And we have some Bay Area people in the chat, so I'll go Raiders.
All right. Raiders it is then.
I'm surprised you.
The Mark Thompson Show.
First season of Josh McDaniels' head coaching wasn't good based on the high expectations they had following the trade for Devontae Adams. Season seems to mark the beginning of a new era. They got someone else with a past in New England now. McDaniels got the job in Las Vegas. It was a successful run with the Patriots as offensive coordinator. His presence was looked at as a great selling speech to get Tom Brady in free agency. But the quarterback, of course, retired. With the general manager, Dave Ziegler, having a long history in New England, it's no surprise they try to get people from that New England Patriots organization. When Derek Carr was released, their choice to replace Derek Carr, you know who it was, former Patriot and 49er.
Feels great, baby.
That's right, Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh.
Yeah. The
Raiders himself.
The Raiders hired Danny Amendola, who was a brilliant star with the Patriots. And Amendola is an assistant coach. He was the wide receiver with the Pats. He's going to, under his new coaching umbrella, help with the returners. Amendola had a valuable career despite being an undrafted free agent in the 2008 NFL draft. He won 2 Super Bowls with the Patriots, being a reliable target for Tom Brady. So Danny Amendola, joins the Las Vegas Raiders.
Not to derail you with the whole sports situation there, but
yeah.
Last night I watched 80 for Brady.
Oh, did you? How was it?
Well, there's a reason that it was free streaming on Paramount Plus very quickly after its movie release date. Just saying that, there was no rental fee, if you know what I'm saying.
And you got what you paid for? Is that what
That's
you're telling
exactly
me?
right.
Wow. It was very poorly reviewed here by, meaning his review was good, but the review of the movie was a grim task. He did not like it.
And he was right. I should have listened, but I kind of wanted to just check it out. And I'll say this. It is Tom Brady produced that movie.
Oh, I didn't know that. That explains a lot.
I'm
sure that was part of the deal, though.
It is an ego party. It is a blast of ego festivus, we'll just say. I mean, how, self-serving do you have to be? But, okay. It was fine. Yeah. Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin.
Yeah, I mean, you had a lot
Rita
of
Moreno.
Good pedigree with it.
Yeah.
But clearly, I guess it was sort of, it was limited in terms of its, from what Michael Snyder said, and now from what you're saying, it's pretty weak.
Yeah. Oh, one more.
Wait a minute. Yeah, what's that?
It almost borders on a major announcement.
Wow. To the very best radio show on YouTube. Thanks so much, Chris from Northside Service Company. I'm not going to cry, but I have to say, $50. Come on.
I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry.
Northside Service. I'll say it again. When I want my service and I want it from the North Side, I got a Northside Service Company.
I get
Thank
a drink,
you for the
Mark.
$50. Wow.
I get a drink.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Tomorrow they introduce the Kimikaze at the Red Jack. Wow.
That's cool.
And Lori, thanks for the $20, Lori.
Thank you so much.
And the Red Jack is awesome, and they contribute every month to this show, way past this, so it's so
I'm
cool.
Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson
There
Show.
they are in San Francisco.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. We'll talk way more about them in the days ahead. The Final Four in Mark's Madness. Vote in the community section. See you for the championships tomorrow. Bye-bye.